Hello, CloudCannon friends. I'm Tom, a developer here at CloudCannon. We've recently released a set of AI agent coding skills designed to arm whichever agent you're using with a bunch of info and context about CloudCannon. Today, I'll demonstrate using them on a popular Astro template called Astro. I'll take the template from its current state, which has no knowledge of CloudCannon, to being fully editable on CloudCannon. Currently, these skills are aimed at Astro sites only, but we plan to release other SSGs soon, depending on how much demand there is for them. If you're testing these skills out on your own site, we would recommend making sure you have your site saved in version control so you can roll back to your original if you need. This type of migration is quite a complicated, in-depth task, so you should aim to use a high-reasoning coding agent for this. We're going to use Claude Opus for this video today. Let's get into it. Okay, so we'll just come to the Astro repo and make our own copy here. And we'll make sure to pull that down onto our locals. And then I will make a site from that repo on CloudCannon. I've selected my repo, use the main branch, and I'll keep the default name. CloudCannon's syncing our files right now, and it's just found them. So I can go next step in the guide, and then saying create your CloudCannon configuration file is the first step, or use your local AI agent. We're going to do that. I'll copy this, run this in the root of my repo. Cool, and then I'll open a new terminal window and start Claude in here. And then I will paste in this prompt that CloudCannon has given me. While that works, I'm going to open VS Code in this repo. And our first commit can be adding skills. We won't push that yet though. We'll wait for this to run, push it when we have something like a config file to push. Cool, so phase one, the audit is complete and I've just accepted its default findings. Now it's moving into our phase two, which is configuration. So it's writing our basic configuration files. It's asking me how I want to pace this whole migration. And I think the recommended of phase by phase looks good. It's asking me, do I want to be able to edit navigation and footer data files so they're editable in CloudCannon? I think yes. Let's go with the defaults. I'm just going to let it run and I'll see you afterwards. Okay, so we're back after a pretty lengthy refactor. It ran for about half an hour. Finished phase two and phase three. Ran an audit, which was phase one. Phase two and three was running some configuration and doing the majority of the conversion from hard-coded .astro pages into a content page, like a markdown file with a layout. So I'm just going to push that all to CloudCannon. That will push to the repo, which will then push to CloudCannon itself and trigger a rebuild. So saying that the AI got the paths wrong for upload to static, I'll have a look at that, but I'll also click next step in here and we can complete this guide now. We can view more guides if we want. So we'll go set up visual editing. We need to configure our build and it's giving us some useful defaults here. Things we might be in Hugo, but doesn't really matter. It's giving us the same npm run build. The output path is where the site builds to, which is dist in most Astro sites. I'll add node modules here and update configuration and build. It's annoying me that it's Hugo, so I can go here and manually select this to Astro, update those details as well. Cool, so now that we've configured that, we're running a Astro build. Our site's completed a build, so we'll click next step here, next step, and then setting up visual editing. We can leave this here for now because that's what the AI is going to do for us. And I'll also remember to fix this invalid paths error. So let's start a fresh conversation, do it manually, clear it, get the AI to pick up where we left off. So it's asking me what is in scope for this one. I think I'll just go page builder only because it's quite a big job already, and we'll defer these for now. Okay, so we've finished here the visual editing phase, phase four. I'm going to push my changes to CloudCannon, have a look at how it functions, if I can see any problems, and then feed that back to the AI. While that rebuilds, let's fix that paths error. I can just feed that back to the AI. And then let's go look at some pages. Let's start with the home page. Sweet, it looks pretty editable to me. So there's an error. Some empty buttons. But otherwise, looking pretty good. Icon names need to be a select. So let's write some feedback while it works on the paths. On the home page, empty buttons, icon inputs. Cool. I'll just give it this to work on while I push the changes to paths. While that works, I can gather some more info about what I need to feed back to the AI. I'll kind of keep using this workflow of look for errors, give them to the AI, and then while that works, I'll look for more things to improve in CloudCannon. I've noticed that the on-page Markdown toolbar is different to the toolbar in modal pop-up. We kind of want to change that so they are both inline options. So a couple already, I can feed back now. I'll just wait for this last round of prompts to finish before I enter in the next round, which is about the image not rendering and the markdown toolbars not lining up properly. And then I'll go commit that last round of changes. And this round finishes quite quickly, so we might as well commit this as well and go check them all out in CloudCannon together. Just to reiterate what we've done, because we've done quite a lot in this last 3 round of fixes, we've fixed the paths in the CloudCannon config. For the images, we stopped empty buttons appearing on the page, turned the icon text input into a select input, fixed the rendering error up the top of the home page in the nav and for the image and some components, and made sure the markdown toolbars matched up between the on-page editing and the in-modal editing. That build's finished. I'm just going to refresh this. And that warning about the paths has gone away. Looks like we can complete this visual editing guide. And I'm just going to disable this now. So our site's built. Let's actually go see the placeholder domain that CloudCannon's given us. You can see the site's all online. Go to a blog page. Cool. You can see the AI has written us this little editor's guide here. So back to our home page. Let's have a look at what editing looks like in the visual editor now. It's looking pretty good. Well, I wish the icons had a nicer editor name. That could be our first bit of feedback. The icon changes. You can still see an empty button here. Can I see those on the live site? No empty buttons on the live site, but the headings for some components are broken on both the live site and the editor. I can go find what component this actually is by going to the source editor, searching for the content in the front matter, and I can see that it typed content. So I've noticed that the AI just conveniently stripped a bunch of things like this, giving it some feedback about what I saw. I noticed a difference between what's in the sidebar here and what shows up on the page. We kind of fixed that last round with the toolbar options, but there are some spans in here that aren't being displayed in the on-page editing that are being displayed in the Markdown toolbar, so we need to get to the bottom of that. I'll see you after this latest round of feedback. I'll push that latest round of changes and go inspect them in CloudCannon. And after a quick inspection, it looks like we were too ambitious with doing all of that at once, and maybe the context window of this agent is getting a bit muddled. I can start a new one by running /clear in the Claude terminal window, getting the agent to read the skills again and tell it we need some help debugging. So I can feed it the info about the sidebar and the on-page editing experience showing different options and answer a couple of questions it's got, and I'll just go with what the AI recommends for the answers. Handles that pretty quickly, and I'll push those changes again and inspect them in CloudCannon. Once that build's finished, I can see the styled text sections are handled much better. The AI has added those text spans as an option in the styles toolbar. So editors can now go to that toolbar and select accented text for certain parts of text they want to be accented. Then I go check out some more components to see if I can see anything wrong and check that the columns are updating in this one. I do make a note that I want to change that to a select input of a certain set number of columns that an editor could choose rather than just a pure number input. And then along the way I notice that the buttons are still appearing empty and the headings appear to be stripped of their styles. Back to CloudCannon. While the AI works away at that, I can test that these icons are still updating properly, and I can change a footer item on one page and see that reflected on another page. Since our site's footer is managed via a data file, when we change it on one page, we expect it to change on all the pages. As I'm there, I notice that the buttons are broken on the contact page hero, so I make a note of that. It's finished its round of fixes on the headings and buttons, so I'll push those changes to CloudCannon and go check that they work. Looks like they work nicely. Next, I go check the legal and blog collections and see that they don't open in the visual editor, so I ask the AI to fix that. Once I push that, I go check it and it looks like everything's working nicely. While I'm checking the blog posts, I notice that the tags could be managed via a multi-select input instead of raw string inputs, and that select input could be managed via a data file. I also notice that the author and category fields don't live update on the page when they could, so I tell the AI about that. And then I push the changes to the contact hero buttons. Once I've verified that, I go and test the creation of a new page in the pages collection and just add a hero component, add some fields to it, and then add a random component. In this case, the features component, which has a grid of items, which I add to test all the inputs are working okay and the icons are updating live. Next, we can test the creation of a blog post, which we have configured to create in the content editor. And then I can save my changes and the site will rebuild, except I get a build error, which I can again feed back to the AI, making sure we've pulled down those changes that we made on CloudCannon, which will be saved to the Git repo. So we need to run a Git pull to get those new files onto our local environment. Then, in classic AI fashion, it seems to have just removed some items rather than fixing the problem, so I have to set that right. And then once it's done that, I push the changes to CloudCannon. I also add our test page to the navigation just so we can get to it easier. Run a build, and then go check everything looks alright on the live site. Unfortunately, one of the images isn't working on the new page that we created, but the blog post looks great and the tags work really nice. We also find another issue on the build page where we can see raw HTML tags being leaked through to the actual rendered elements. So I feed that all back and then push my changes to CloudCannon. And once it's finished that build, I can go to our newly built test page, check it all works nicely, which it does. Just double check our blog post still works, which it does. And we've now unlocked the ability to create new landing pages and new blog posts. And I think we can call that done. Thanks for watching. Hope you go give these skills a try on your own AI coding agents with your own repos. The skills themselves will be constantly updating and evolving as we find out what works best with the largest variety of sites. So with this in mind, if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Otherwise, happy building, happy editing, and I'll see you in the next one.